Hello there. It's me again. I had intended to do this tutorial about 12 hours ago. Let's see, actually about 12 hours ago. It was very hot and I went to lie down to try and forget about the heat and just woke up about an hour ago. So, and it was very quick. I just wanted to mention a couple things. Maybe indicated in the title of this video. Uh, Now, see, this unit test, as I mentioned before, was busy. What I meant by busy was I was doing some tests in here to do with this idea of a list view object. And you can see it in the resource. It's probably still there. In the this here control is called a list view control. Actually, the way I've got it positioned, I'm going to adjust that in just a minute. I'm going to take the print screen of this and just want to see where I've positioned this, because what I wanted to mention was doing something like this, but wanting to have it resizable. No, I can't really measure. This program's not very good for measuring. I can save this off and open it in PaintShop Pro. So, love it or hate it, at least you can measure the lengths of things. Where this certainly doesn't come under desktop or female or anything. Let's put it in miscellaneous. List view. But I'll check that on my own later. Now, what I wanted to do, and what I've done, is I moved this list view test to a new project with a fancy little icon. See that? It looks like I guess this is a list of things. I don't like that. I didn't want a spyglass, but whatever. Now here it is, just running under debug, and I see these. I think I want this more like what I had. One thing you'll notice here is I added more items so that to see if this scroll bar would come up, and I was curious if I expanded it, if the scroll bar would disappear. And you'll also notice that as I'm moving that and adjusting these things, the thing is maintaining its size. These buttons are not disappearing. Everything is staying the same as it was at the beginning, relatively speaking. Now, whenever you see something like that happening, you think that it must be some special operating system call or something that I've made to cause this bottom area to sort of have its own, to be like a docking area or something like that. But no, I'm moving them around and readjusting the size of things dynamically as I reshape the size of the window, just like a Notepad Cube does with its internal things. This box and the window here reposition themselves and resize themselves when the main window changes size. And that's all done manually. Now, to facilitate doing that in a case like this, okay, if this is resizable, let's change the properties, make it resizable. That means that you want the frame to be, where is it now? Is this it? No. That's appearance. It is sort of an appearance thing. Oh, wrong one. The main dialog, the main window to be, if I want that to be resizable, I think is this all I need? No, almost. That's the right size for a resizable border, but it's still not resizable. Border resizing. Okay. Now I don't know. Maybe I don't need this anymore. Okay. So this is the default behavior. But maybe this should be true anyway. It looks better. An overlapped window, I think. I'm just looking at this button. Did that change its appearance? That seems it's inside. False. It looks a little different. This is thinner, right? The size of this border is slightly thinner. It's not overlapped. When it is overlapped, that's definitely thicker. It's a thicker border, like a regular window. I mean, a resizable. That's this kind of border, I think. There's various styles and things. The way I find these things out is I use my little style chooser tool. Okay, there's thick frame, and there's something called window style overlap window, and that combines windowed edge, and client edge. And client edge, where's that? Oh, there's extended, right? Client edge, 3D look, okay. And windowed edge, raised edge, I see. So all of those are just for appearance. To make something resizable, you need one of the things that comes in here. Overlapped, I think is the one. Overlapped window, overlapped on itself. Caption and border, no, that's not it. Size box, maybe. A sizing, okay, size box. That appears here. This one doesn't have one, it's not resizable though. Does this have a size box? Yeah, it does. And it's resizable. If I take this off, just a dialog frame, not resizable, no box here. In any case, you don't have to worry about the dimensions. And I never do. that was one of the earlier problems that I had with Windows in general. Remember this draw thing. This came up in a comment recently. I was looking back at it to see if it still runs. Still runs. I had to change one or two minor things. The size of this internal window is not a resizable box, but I can change the style of this window in any way I like, and I can always have it such that the client area is a fixed size. Not by doing what I thought I had to do, which is go through the thousands of possible combinations, but to simplify one's life by not worrying about that until later. Is it in here? See, there's a function, actually this is my function, set client rect, which sets the size of the client rectangle area. That is, you start with your window, whatever it is, and if you want the client rect to be a certain size, and you want to figure out how big the window should be, right? So you're going the other way around. Instead of starting out by trying to figure out how big the window should be given the various styles, all the styles have been applied at this point. So now all there is to do is to find out how big the window should be in order to have this size client area. So first, I get the client rect, the current one. In this case, I wanted 800 by 600. Get the client rect. In this function, get the actual client rect, and this here is a difference. I should make maybe a function at minus function for rect, but whatever. I make a size, which is basically at the point, which is the width requested here, minus the actual client area width, and so it's the difference between the actual client width, the width requested, and the actual client width, and then I set rect of the window to a new size, which is the requested client rect size expanded by this difference. Now this difference, one of the things I should have realized earlier on, is independent of the size of the window. That is, all of these border things and whatnot, for the various types of windows that exist, don't change with the size of the window. If I make the window smaller, this border here doesn't change its size. So that doesn't depend on this total size of the window. I mean the current size of the window. If I make it bigger, this border is the same thickness that it started out as. This doesn't change its size, and nothing changes its size, in fact. And so that means that expanding the window by this expanding the main window size by this difference will have the effect of setting the client areas x and width and height the same as this rect, because the delta doesn't change. Now, when you start, suppose your window is here, and you've expanded it slightly, then that means the way this expand function works is it doesn't change the top left corner position of the rect. It just adds to x and y. So going back, then I simply center the window, whatever I've got left. I center it, and that makes the client area centered, and it makes it 800 by 600, And there's no more to solving that problem than that simple observation. Other simple observations lead to solutions to problems like this. This might seem like one of those complicated problems. The repositioning of these buttons, for instance, which looks kind of seamless, and the resizing of this internal window are done by making more simple observations, and these simple observations will save you a lot of headache and heartache in your life if you observe them. Now, the observation, it's not really an observation. I guess it's a thing that I've come to expect after working with games when dealing with things like rectangles. Okay, let's see now. Well, for instance, center window is a function. That's something you should never do twice. Here's the code for centering a window. Now see here, I've even got a function called center find window, but let's not worry about that. Never shall you have to write this function twice. Okay, it's if you're finding yourself calling get system metrics about something, then you slap yourself in the face and find out what it is why you need these values, and make something general, and never ever do it again. If you find yourself calling a function like this, right, slap yourself in the face, find out why you're calling it, and put it somewhere centralized, and never do it again. These functions are a documentation nightmare, right? I don't even know anymore how it works. Similarly, for what I just showed you, there are various functions that, and maybe it's not a coincidence that the first project we started out with had to do with rectangles. Remember this geometry.h from right at the beginning? I knew that I'd be adding these functions, and finally have a reason to do so. I found in my life, especially working with computer games, that when you're positioning things and repositioning things with some kind of reference, this collection of 9 functions, which are all very easy to write, will simplify your life to a degree that you wouldn't believe. There's nothing to writing these functions, right? All this does here, they return the current rectangle, and they do something with the current rectangle without changing its size. It's a repositioning. We reposition this rectangle with respect to that rectangle, another rectangle, in various ways. Lower left, the meaning should be obvious from the wording. If you consider 2 rectangles, in this case, in my case, it's those 2 buttons and that control, but well, imagine I can do a rectangle this way. Here's a rectangle, and this here box is another rectangle. Lower left would reposition this blue rectangle such that it appears here. Oops. that would be the effect of lower left, lower right. Put it here. Upper left, upper right. Lower center puts it here. Center, right? It's not exactly centered. Here. Nope. You can't do that anymore with Google, by the way. This thing, they've gotten rid of the idea of the scroll click. It's really bothersome. Upper center puts it here. Left center, centered, and left. Whoops. We put it here, and right center puts it here. Maybe I'm off slightly, but that's something that's difficult to do, even by eye. Okay, so there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 positions, and then center is just simply centered. So 9 functions, 9 positions, and with these 9 functions, the matter of repositioning the layout of a window when a resize occurs becomes a piece of cake. There's nothing to it. Here's an example is that thing. Now the code here, I have an on size, but I'm not handling this one case, so this is being done manually. There is a message called, there are several messages that occur that indicate that the window may or may not have changed size. One of them is called WM size. That's not the only one, unfortunately. Minimized can come along with a WM size, and that is not a change in size. That just means it got minimized. Window pause changed. You would think that that just means that the position of the window has changed, but that's not true. That message comes along also when a window changes its size. And WM sizing is another one. Who knows if there are more, but these are the ones I know of. However, a window pause changed message might occur may occur even if there's no resizing going on, and that happens when the flags associated with the call to set window pause, it turns out, is one of them. When that is called with any of these flags, where you might be changing the Z order of the window, not the size, okay? Or you might be changing it without a redraw, or you might be just hiding the window, or you're not doing anything, no copy bits. If any of these flags are set, then the window is not changing size. Otherwise, I found that in every other case, the windows change size. So in that case, I should call this reposition. Position my controls. First, I get the client rectangle. Okay, well, this is in that same dialog. So I can run it here. Now the client rect is this thing. It doesn't matter what styles I've chosen. That client rect is where my drawing occurs. This here, well, as an example, I certainly want to fix this problem, right? How would I make it so that I want both? I want this to be indented a little bit more and a little bit further down the top. Looking at the that's the list box window. So let's take that one specifically. rect the list box equals rect. Okay, so now I'm saying, okay, let's take the client area and shrink it 4 pixels in the horizontal direction. So now I'd like to actually change that. I could turn it into a define const. Yeah. Shrink x. Okay, that's how much I want to shrink in the x direction. It's gotta be even. So let's say 2 times the amount of internal leading I want. Let's call that internal leading x, or x internal leading, which I can make a number as a number defined. Four was no good. Let's try 8. Yeah. Oh, sorry. This is half of this is the internal leading. Previously, I had 2, so let's try 5. Okay, so I need to I want to shrink that rect by this amount in x. Now, in order to have it centered, of course, I'm going to have to add half of the amount I've shrunk to the x position of that rect. Now, the height, I only want to shrink by a fixed amount to allow for the button. So this here, I've taken the rectangle of the OK button, which is obtained up here. Its height, I want to shrink the client area by the height of the OK button plus some amount to have some space. I think 20 was too big, so let's try 17. Now, I've shrunk it in the x direction. Now I'd like to move it, now centered in the x direction. Now whatever amount here that I've shrunken this by, it doesn't matter. Once these numbers are done once, I have it. So I certainly want the internal leading maybe to be about the same in y. So I'll just do the same value for y. No, I just have to fiddle around with this 17, which I could turn into a number defined. And then I have a move window here. So this thing now is going to be centered. It may or may not interfere with the buttons, but we'll see. We can adjust it. See how it looks. I shouldn't call this shrink x, should I? Shrink y. I'll make that shrink y. Make them the same initially. Come on. I told you my computer was speedy now. Okay, there's a little bit too much. This is good. It's maybe a bit more. See, now I want to do the x independently, so I certainly don't want this to be true. The positioning I do want, though. I want these the same, in fact. I shouldn't call that. Shrink's a bad word, and bad naming for this. This is leading, actual leading, internal leading. And it's not dependent on x and y. it's 2 times, I might as well just use the number defined directly. And it's not x, it's x. Well, I could have both. These could be independent. And this should be 2 times the x internal leading. Reads better. I want them to be the same, it turns out. That's where I want to position it. Right? That'll give me an internal leading on both sides. And this amount, well, I can just guess. Let's try 15. You've got to shrink by, normally I would shrink this by double. I could shrink it by double the y internal leading and then add an extra amount that's constant. The constant amount having to do with the height of this OK amount button. In fact, I'll change it that way. Let's just have a look. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now, just a little bit less. Let's try 12. Now, as far as the buttons themselves, based on the client area and using those, combinations of those 9 functions, this problem is solved. It's just a matter of fixing that. That won't change anything else. Look. Oops. I want to shrink by more, not less. So it should be 18 or something. For the OK button, to get its position, now here again is another type of internal leading, right? Not 5, 8 in this case. If I start out at the lower right position, which would put it exactly at the lower right of the client area, and then move away from the sides by a certain amount, then I've positioned the OK button. To get the position of the cancel button, I know they're the same size. If they weren't, it wouldn't matter. This would still work. Center the cancel button on the OK button, right? It's rect, sorry. And then move that cancel button a distance, which is the width of the OK button. Now, it's just a matter of trying to draw. We're going to draw rect. If this is one rect, and you have another rectangle, and you want it positioned here, say, here. There are several ways using those same functions to do that. One way, now the other button may not be the same size. Suppose it's a different size. Suppose it's this size, but the same height, maybe wider. If I center the wider rectangle on top of this smaller one, in fact, I now need to move it a distance to get its edge here. How far do I have to move it? I have to move it this far, puts its center here. If I put its center here, actually I need to move this width of this button, half width of this button, and another half width of itself, I think. Or half width of itself, but I see. if it's centered here, I move it 1/2. Be correct, really. Yeah, I know they're the same size, but let's do it correctly. If I move it, it's half of its width, the outer button, the wider one, in the X direction, right? And then that puts the lower, the right hand edge of the wider one at the center position of the inner one, right? So then I need to move another half width of the other button, a differently sized possibly button. I'll change their size, you'll see it's going to work. And then the fixed amount distance I want between them. Oh, it's not going to go well, is it? You'll see what I mean if I draw a paint job or something. In fact, maybe I'll just do that. I need a picture. We'll take that picture I just made, which was in here. And what was it called? I thought I put it in here. I can take any of these pictures, but I guess when I get not my own picture. Anyway, I'll take any picture. Oh, there it is. Let's do. Now we'll give that a chance to start up. Okay, now you see these are the same width. What I'm going to do is change the width of the one of them, either of them, and you'll see it's still going to work out. Go away, PaintShop Pro. Rule breaking PaintShop Pro. I can't do my work. Oh, I think I killed it. It doesn't like you to touch the. Okay, then. Okay. See, I've made the cancel button big, right? I'll put it here. I'll put it here. Now it should work out perfectly fine. See, same as before, and it'll reposition itself properly. This again, I want a little bit less. But you see how this worked? If I can get PaintShop Pro to run. Doesn't matter where I put this now. I don't have to be careful in here. All I've done is taken advantage of the magical 9 functions to do with rectangles that allows you to, in a very easy way, draw, position things, in a way that's easily specifiable. In this particular case, I wanted the 2 buttons beside each other, regardless of their width. I could do the same thing with the height. In fact, it would work with height, except I wouldn't want them centered. I would want their bottoms matching up. P, my rectangle. If I have a rectangle, how do I make it actually draw with color? Why wouldn't it draw a colored rectangle? Properties. I want fill, yes, okay. Okay, here's one rectangle. And I suppose I want to add another rectangle and I want it positioned here. Suppose it's the same height but wider. So this one, yeah. Make it a different color. First, if I center this on here, right? Can I adjust the opacity of it? No, only the whole layer. Anyway, you can see I've centered it here. Now I'm centered on the other rectangle underneath in order to put it where I want it, which is here minus 10. First I need to get it to this edge here to match up. Now one thing I could do is set the right hand side of this to that. You can add another function, right? A simple function to write that works on the outsides instead of the insides. But I only have inside things, so I'll use the inside ones I have. I take that. If I move this now in the x direction, 1/2 of the width of this thing, that puts my center now here, right? Now if I move this 1/2 of my own width, that puts this here. Now I subtract 10. That puts the x position here. The y position was already set, and that's easy, right? The ease of doing that is the direct result of having these dumb functions that you write once and you never write them again, and you'll find it's very easy to position things in your window, and you can have a window that looks nice, and you can resize it, and everything moves, and everything stays in their relative positions without much fiddling around. So that's lesson 1. How to handle rectangles. You can see it works fine. Don't make a mistake of now this last flag here. This thing calls the Windows function move window, which has a flag repaint. Okay, I could have just left it out. Don't repaint in this scenario. Just reposition everything, and then at the end call invalidate rect for the entire client rect. Then you won't get the glitches that you would get if you tried to draw these things. If you tried repaint immediate, because this position controls will get called not just where I'm calling it at startup, but during WM Paint and whatnot. Or not WM Paint, but doing WM resize. And you don't want this thing to be issuing paint calls while you're repositioning stuff. You do want a repaint to occur, but only after you repositioned everything. And then you won't get drawing glitches. So that's lesson 1. Lesson 2 has to do with this thing. I haven't actually tried it yet. Now here's the dialog that I no longer need. I've moved it away, so U-test is free now. Everything here is expendable. So I might as well just do it. Well, actually, I won't leave. I will carry these over to the other project. These are the, unfortunately for a list view, instead of functions, they decided to make everything into macros. Macros can be good, but for functions, you want to see the prototypes of things. Like this doesn't, these number defines don't tell you what type and so on. Anyway, it's not important. The XML parser thing, I built the libs and I put them in my global lib directory here, only for the debug versions. Here they are. Okay, 2 libs, and this library includes an include file, which is in my global lib include directory. It's not pictures, thank you very much, but objects. Now, in general, I might have various other libs, so I'm putting XML here as a possible one of many categories of libraries I might include in my project. And here's the header file that came with that library. It's for read-only. And I think I only need this here. Okay. If I'm using a DLL, if I'm building a DLL and I'm using this in a DLL, then this thing will, all of these things that have this word in front of it will become DLL imports, which is what I would want. Otherwise, it's just an external function. And if I put this here, and I run up to here, and you see that at least it's calling into the library. And I've got my debug information, and how that was achieved is simply a matter of making sure that the PDB files for these libs are in this directory. Here they are. I don't know why this doesn't say program. There it is. I probably messed something up in the registry. It's just considered an intermediate file. Okay, so that's almost working, or it may be working. I might be able to use my other code with this. Now I haven't explained how I did all the other steps of making these libs, but nobody's asked me to explain that, so I won't until someone asks. I just built it and I fixed it up to be compatible with what I'm doing, and that's something that you just learn to do by habit, I guess. So that's that. There's one other thing, just for your curiosity. I've been doing things like uploading music and whatnot. Oh yeah, maybe this was, well, that doesn't matter. And in one of the videos I uploaded, I included a picture. And yeah, it's too bad that I have no way to send any money, but I'll offer a prize of some sort to anyone who can figure out where did I put that video? Music videos? Probably lost it by now. It was Liz Fair. Okay, well, it's on the list. On my music-oriented channel, I uploaded stuff to do with the Virtual Love tutorial. I took a video and I tried enhancing it, and the result was pretty good. And then I enhanced another one, but the first one that I did the enhancing with, I uploaded just one with a still image and a picture, and I thought, like, no, I know nobody's going to guess it, so I have to pose it as a question. Nobody would guess that there might actually be some meaning in this picture. Here. Oh yeah, no, it's not that. It's a different one. So I do have this picture. See this picture here? It wasn't big enough for her playing the guitar. I'm going to have to mute it or something. I'll just press pause if it'll start. So you can see the image. This is another one of those unreleased songs. And this didn't fit. It only came up to about here. So I wanted to put something on. I couldn't stretch it, and cutting off. I didn't want to cut off the top or the bottom, so I wanted to just stick something on the left. And I thought, okay, well, we'll make it look like there's a window here or something. But this is a very special window, and if anyone guesses what it is, I'll send you a prize of some sort. Can't be money, unfortunately. I have no credit card. Well, I could do a direct deposit of $1 into your bank account. All right. See you.